This episode of See Tolle Run is brought to you by Essentia Health, the Mankato Marathon, and Grandma's Marathon.
Hi, I'm Olympian Carrie Tullifson, and today I'm talking to Grandma's Marathon Medical Director, Dr. Ben Nelson, on common marathon medical issues. So let's get after it.
Yeah, so the most common problem that we see is this condition called exercise-associated collapse. And what that is actually it's a loss of blood pressure to the brain that happens right after you finish running. And the reason that you lose that blood pressure is because while you're running, your system kind of balances out, and your circulatory system relies on the muscle contractions in your calves and your legs to act as a pump to return the blood from your legs back up into your heart and then into your brain. And what happens when you finish the race or you stop running is a lot of people feel like, oh, I finished the finish line, and they're just so happy, and they like want to pose for pictures and wave to the crowd and things, but or they're like leaning over panting.
Right, right.
But when you stop contracting your leg muscles, the blood will pool up in your legs and you lose blood pressure to the brain, and it become very lightheaded and dizzy, and a lot of people actually pass out. And that has been repeatedly shown to be the #1 cause that people come into a medical tent after the race.
Okay.
Now, the treatment for it is very simple, and actually the prevention for it is very simple. All you need to do is keep moving after you finish the race. So after you finish, you don't want to stop and celebrate and pose for pictures. You want to keep moving. And actually the chutes at Grandma's are set up for that. So after you cross the finish, there'll be people encourage you, okay, come along, and you'll get your medal, and then you go a little bit farther and you get the space blanket, and a little bit farther, and there's like the t-shirt, and then you keep walking. So they've got it set up to keep the crowd moving along, and the purpose for that is so that we prevent this exercise-associated collapse. So the key to preventing it is just to keep walking after you finish, and your system will eventually kind of re-equilibrate and balance out, and you'll prevent getting that lightheadedness and passing out. So I think one of the other most common things is muscle cramping.
It's a good one. A lot of people have it.
A lot of people have it. It makes running miserable, and those muscles cramp up. You just don't want to go anymore.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest piece of prevention for muscle cramping is actually being conditioned. So like being ready to run the race, being ready to do the distance that you're supposed to do. I think runners should have a training program that they follow that ensures that their muscles and their legs are going to be ready to run the marathon. The other thing is making sure that your muscles have the nutrients that they need to keep contracting and keep working for that long of a period of time. And the 3 things that the muscles need: they need water, so they need to be properly hydrated. They need sugar, so carbohydrates or some sort of calories during the race. Replacing those things are important to prevent cramping. And maybe the most important nutrient is actually electrolytes. So there's a saying in sports medicine that for muscle cramping, saline is the solution. Saline is like a salty solution. But there's a lot of electrolyte drinks that are available, and you can even actually add more salt or more electrolytes to the drinks to prevent cramping. It's a little bit different for everyone. Some people sweat out more salt than other people. It's different for different conditions. When you sweat more in more humid weather, muscle cramping is more likely. But finding your own balance as far as what you need for calories, what you need for fluids, what you need for electrolytes, and then getting your training in is the best way to prevent the cramping. I think the third thing that's important to talk about is actually heat-related illness. So Grandma's runs during the middle of June, end of June. It can potentially be hot, it can potentially be really humid, and those conditions are hard to run in. I think the key for runners to remember, if it looks like it's going to be a hot, humid day, is to pace yourself. So I think your body generates heat by muscles contracting and your metabolism moving, and the best way to keep your body temperature low is to pace yourself, decrease the rate that your muscles are contracting at, and listen to yourself. You got to stay well hydrated, but you also want to control the amount of heat that you're producing, and really the best way to do that is to slow down, take a slower pace. What I recommend is that people be very familiar with the flag system that marathons use. So it's a color-coded system that describes what the heat risk is for the day. So if you're running and it's at Grandma's Marathon, we have these flags at all of the water stations and the mile markers. There's also flags at the starting lines. And if you see a green flag, that means that it's perfect conditions. You run your race, try to qualify for whatever, and no worries. If you're seeing a yellow flag, that means that it's a warm, more humid day and you need to start thinking about pacing yourself. And if you see a red flag, that means high risk, high rates of either heat exhaustion or heat stroke.
Okay.
And you really need to listen to your body, stay well hydrated, slow down a little bit. That's kind of where I tell people, you know what, if you see a red flag, you just have a good time.
Yeah.
Walk a little bit. Don't worry about your finishing time. Keep yourself safe and protected.
Cool. I didn't even know about that flag system. That's pretty neat. Well, thanks so much, Dr. Ben. This is exciting stuff because none of us want to have issues during the marathon. We just want to get after it and, have a good race. So
that's right.
With your tips, we will get after it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining me for my interview with Dr. Ben Nelson. Get after it.
Hey guys, if you like this episode, check out ctollerun.com for even more videos, including interviews with elite athletes and training videos. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes. And don't forget to get after it.